In the crucible of life, a man's spirit is forged not by comfort, but by relentless fire and unyielding discipline. Like the ancient blacksmith who tempers steel in scorching flames, so too must we endure the searing trials that shape our character and reveal our true strength. Our Hagane no Ishi, the steel will. This is the sacred path of Bushido, where every scar, every failure, and every moment of silence carves the soul deeper than any sword ever could. To walk this path is to embrace the impermanence, muho, and find clarity in chaos. Brothers, today you stand at the edge of transformation, summoned to awaken the dormant spirit within, to rise beyond what society teaches, and to master lessons brutal yet vital, lessons that forge men of unbreakable resolve. If you are ready to walk this path with me, comment "Steel Will" below, and subscribe to join a brotherhood of warriors committed to self-mastery. Himon is our glorious path. Together we sharpen our spirits, discipline our minds, and temper our lives in the fire of truth. Thank you for being part of this relentless community. To truly embody strength and wisdom, a man must first embrace the unshakable truth of responsibility. This is not a burden to dread, but a sacred duty that defines the very essence of one's existence. Responsibility is the forge where character is shaped, and only by accepting full ownership of our actions, decisions, and their consequences can we begin to stand tall in the face of life's challenges. When a man claims his life as his own, he refuses to be a victim of circumstance or the whims of others. This ownership demands courage. The courage to face mistakes without excuse, to confront fears without retreat, and to build a future with intention rather than passively waiting for it to unfold. The path of responsibility calls for discipline in thought and action, for a warrior's spirit knows that every moment carries weight, and every choice ripples through the tapestry of one's journey. By embracing responsibility, a man sheds the shackles of blame and regret, stepping into the power of agency, where true transformation begins. Owning one's life is not simply about control, but about cultivating a mindset of accountability that extends beyond the self. It means recognizing that our relationships, our work, and our environment reflect the energy we invest in them. To refuse responsibility is to surrender power, to live in fragmentation, disconnected from the integrity that fuels genuine strength. Instead, the man who embraces responsibility builds his world intentionally, understanding that leadership starts within. This internal mastery becomes the foundation for external influence, a ripple that inspires others and commands respect. It requires unwavering honesty, a daily commitment to self-reflection, and the humility to admit when we fall short. Yet this process is liberating, not limiting. For in owning the full spectrum of our experience, from triumphs to failures, we reclaim control over our destiny. This is the essence of true freedom, the power to shape life through conscious, deliberate choice, grounded in unwavering responsibility. To walk this path demands relentless courage, for it is easier to drift aimlessly or blame the tides than to stand firm as captain of one's ship. But the warrior who embraces responsibility finds strength in this very challenge, knowing that greatness is forged in the fire of accountability. When hardship strikes, he does not flinch or deflect. Instead, he harnesses it as fuel to grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient. This acceptance transforms obstacles into opportunities, pain into purpose. It is through this unwavering ownership that a man cultivates a life of meaning and mastery, unshaken by the storms of fate. This lesson, the first brutal truth many men never learn, is the foundation upon which all others rest. To embrace responsibility and own your life is to ignite the flame of self-mastery, a flame that no external force can extinguish. Emotional resilience is the invisible armor that a man must craft to withstand the relentless storms of life. It is not the absence of pain or hardship, but the steadfast ability to face these challenges with a steady heart and an unbroken spirit. Mastering emotional resilience means learning to control your reactions rather than being controlled by them. The world will test you with loss, rejection, and failure. But the warrior who has cultivated emotional strength meets each trial without surrendering to despair or anger. Instead of fleeing from discomfort, he leans into it, understanding that pain is a teacher and adversity the forge of inner power. This mastery does not come overnight. It requires conscious effort to observe emotions without becoming enslaved by them, to let go of what cannot be changed, and to choose response over reaction. In doing so, a man shapes a mind as unyielding as steel, calm under pressure, clear in chaos, and resolute in the face of uncertainty. To build emotional resilience is to cultivate an inner sanctuary where strength and vulnerability coexist in harmony. It requires embracing the full spectrum of feelings, fear, sadness, frustration, not as weaknesses, but as essential facets of the human experience. The samurai understood this balance well, living by the principle of shin, a spirit both fierce and gentle, disciplined yet compassionate. By acknowledging emotions honestly and allowing them space without letting them dictate actions, a man gains mastery over himself. This is no easy path. It demands daily practice and brutal self-honesty, yet the reward is profound. A life where setbacks no longer shatter your resolve, where criticism fuels growth instead of doubt, and where emotional storms pass like weather, intense but temporary. Emotional resilience transforms the inner landscape, turning turbulent waters into a deep, steady well of strength that can sustain a man through any trial. The mastery of emotional resilience is the cornerstone of a life lived with purpose and power. Without it, even the strongest body can crumble under the weight of unchecked feelings, leading to distraction, regret, or bitterness. But with resilience, a man commands his emotional world, redirecting energy from turmoil into focused action and clarity. This skill allows him to adapt without losing himself, to recover swiftly from setbacks, and to face uncertainty with unwavering calm. It teaches patience and persistence, the recognition that true strength is not in never falling, but in rising every time with renewed spirit. For men who dare to walk this path, emotional resilience is the armor that protects the soul and the sword that cuts through doubt. It is a brutal lesson rarely taught but absolutely necessary. A lesson that separates the fleeting from the enduring, the lost from the victorious. Discipline is the silent forge, where greatness is hammered into the very core of a man's being. It is not merely about routines or rules, but about cultivating an unbreakable commitment to oneself that stands firm even when motivation falters. Relentless discipline demands that a man rises each day with purpose, choosing the hard path over the easy, and honoring the small, consistent actions that build extraordinary results over time. Like the samurai who trains tirelessly, sharpening his blade and mind regardless of weariness or circumstance, a man who masters discipline understands that true power lies not in fleeting bursts of effort, but in steady persistence. This unwavering focus tempers the spirit as steel is tempered in fire, burning away distraction, doubt, and complacency. Discipline is the guardian of dreams, the bridge between intention and achievement, and without it even the most potent desires remain hollow and unfulfilled. To cultivate relentless discipline is to conquer the battlefield within, where temptation, procrastination, and weakness wage constant war against ambition and purpose. It requires a warrior's mindset, one that embraces sacrifice without complaint and sees every challenge as an opportunity to prove one's resolve. Discipline is a practice of self-restraint and delayed gratification, a refusal to be swayed by momentary pleasure when it conflicts with long-term vision. This path demands brutal honesty, acknowledging where one falls short and having the courage to rise again, every day, without excuse. Yet discipline is not about rigidity or self-punishment. It is a form of respect for one's own potential, a daily vow to honor the future self by mastering the present moment. Through relentless discipline, a man molds habits that support growth, clarity that cuts through chaos, and strength that persists beyond pain. The power of relentless discipline reveals itself in the way a man commands his life with intention and focus. When distractions multiply and the world pulls him in 1,000 directions, discipline is the anchor that keeps him grounded, the steady heartbeat behind every great accomplishment. It is the quiet force that transforms visions into reality, turning dreams from distant fantasies into tangible achievements. This discipline is not a burden but a source of freedom. The freedom to act decisively, to withstand setbacks, and to maintain integrity amid chaos. For those willing to embrace this brutal lesson, discipline becomes a way of life, a flame that fuels continuous progress and resilience. It separates the fleeting from the lasting, the ordinary from the extraordinary, and carves a path toward mastery that no obstacle can block. Truth is the sharpest blade a man can wield, cutting through the fog of illusion that clouds judgment and shackles the spirit. To seek truth is to embark on a journey that demands courage, for the path is lined with uncomfortable realities and harsh lessons many fear to face. Illusions, whether in the form of comforting lies, societal expectations, or self-deception, offer fleeting comfort, but ultimately lead to stagnation and weakness. The samurai lived by a code that revered truth above all, knowing that only by seeing the world clearly could one act with honor and precision. This relentless pursuit of truth requires a man to strip away the masks he wears, confront his own flaws, and question everything he has been taught. It is a path of brutal honesty, where illusions are exposed and discarded, leaving only the raw, unvarnished reality to guide decisions and actions. Rejecting illusions means refusing to be blinded by ego, pride, or denial. It calls for a warrior's humility, the willingness to admit when one is wrong, and the strength to change course without hesitation. In a world flooded with distractions and misinformation, this discipline becomes even more vital. The concept of mujo, the impermanence of all things, reminds us that clinging to false beliefs is futile. Truth is fluid, evolving with understanding and experience. By seeking truth, a man aligns himself with reality, gaining clarity that empowers decisive action and fosters resilience. This clarity strips away doubt and confusion, revealing the path forward, even when it is steep and uncertain. The rejection of illusions is not a retreat into cynicism, but a bold embrace of authenticity, a commitment to live and lead from a place of undeniable reality rather than comforting fantasy. Living in truth transforms a man's spirit and sharpens his will. It frees him from the paralysis of fear and the chains of self-delusion, allowing him to face life's challenges with unwavering resolve. When illusions fall away, so do excuses, distractions, and false hopes. What remains is a clear vision and a steady heart capable of navigating any storm. This brutal lesson, often ignored in a world eager for easy answers, is essential for any man seeking mastery over himself and his destiny. To seek truth and reject illusions is to wield a sword that cuts through uncertainty and deception, forging a path of honor, clarity, and ultimate freedom. It is a lesson that demands bravery, but rewards with unbreakable strength. Confidence is the unyielding foundation upon which a man's spirit stands firm against the tempests of doubt and fear. It is not born from arrogance or empty bravado, but from a deep, unwavering belief in one's own worth and abilities, honed through experience, preparation, and relentless self-truth. Like the samurai who stands poised and calm before battle, confidence arises not from ignorance of danger, but from mastery over the self. This kind of confidence is forged in the fires of discipline and perseverance, tempered by the trials that test a man's resolve again and again. It grows each time a challenge is met head-on, each time fear is acknowledged but not allowed to control, and each time failure is transformed into a stepping stone rather than a stumbling block. True confidence is quiet, steady, and unshakable. It is the calm eye in the storm that guides a man through chaos with clarity and purpose. Building unshakable confidence means embracing vulnerability and imperfection as integral parts of growth. It requires the humility to recognize weaknesses without letting them define one's value, and the courage to take risks despite uncertainty. The Japanese concept of shin, the spirit that balances strength with compassion, reminds us that confidence is not about dominance, but about authentic presence and self-acceptance. When a man accepts himself fully, with all his flaws and strengths, he stops seeking external validation and finds instead an internal wellspring of power. This inner confidence radiates outward, influencing how others perceive and respond to him. It is built through consistent effort, learning, and self-reflection, as well as through the discipline to silence the inner critic and embrace the warrior within. Confidence grows in the daily battles won over self-doubt and fear, becoming an indomitable force that propels a man forward. Unshakable confidence is the armor that protects a man's purpose and passion from being eroded by the opinions and setbacks of the world. It allows him to act decisively and lead with conviction, even when the path is unclear or the stakes are high. Without this inner strength, even the greatest plans falter under pressure, and the loudest voices drown out one's true calling. But with confidence, a man moves through life with clarity and courage, undeterred by failure or criticism. This lesson is brutal because it demands ongoing commitment and honesty, yet it is essential for anyone striving to rise beyond mediocrity. Building unshakable confidence is not a destination, but a lifelong journey, a relentless forging of spirit that turns fear into fuel and hesitation into action. It is the heart of mastery and the cornerstone of a life lived boldly and with purpose. Failure is the relentless teacher that every man must learn to honor if he wishes to ascend beyond his limits. It is not a mark of defeat, but the furnace where resilience is forged and wisdom is distilled. Too often society paints failure as a shadow to be feared or avoided. Yet the path of the warrior reveals a harsher truth. Failure is not just inevitable, it is necessary. Every setback, every mistake, every fall is a vital strike of the hammer against the anvil of growth. To accept failure is to embrace the process of becoming, knowing that each scar is a lesson etched into the spirit, each loss a step closer to mastery. The samurai understood this deeply, living by the principle of Bushido, which teaches that honor lies not in never falling, but in rising stronger after every defeat. Failure strips away illusions of perfection and forces a man to confront his weaknesses honestly, igniting the fire of transformation. Accepting failure as growth demands a mindset that sees beyond immediate pain to the larger arc of progress. It requires the courage to face humiliation, frustration, and doubt without surrendering to despair. This is no easy path. It means resisting the urge to retreat into comfort or self-pity, instead choosing to learn, adapt, and improve. The Japanese concept of kaizen, continuous improvement, embodies this relentless commitment to evolve through trial and error. Each failure becomes a stepping stone, a chance to refine skills, sharpen focus, and build resilience. When a man embraces failure in this way, he transforms obstacles into opportunities and setbacks into fuel for the fire of ambition. This brutal lesson teaches that growth is never linear, but forged through persistence and humility. To accept failure as growth is to redefine what it means to be strong. It is to understand that true strength lies not in never falling, but in the relentless courage to rise again, time and time again. This acceptance liberates a man from the paralyzing fear of mistakes and empowers him to take risks and pursue greatness without hesitation. It deepens self-awareness, teaching patience and perseverance while cultivating an unbreakable spirit. Without this willingness to embrace failure, a man remains trapped within the narrow confines of comfort and fear, never fully realizing his potential. But with it, he steps into the warrior's way, forging a life rich with purpose, resilience, and honor. This lesson, brutal yet essential, is the cornerstone of mastery and the path to enduring success. To lead with honor and integrity is to carry the weight of a legacy far greater than oneself, a legacy forged in truth, courage, and unwavering principles. It is the path of the true warrior, where actions align seamlessly with words, and promises are bonds unbreakable as tempered steel. Honor is not a fleeting sentiment or a public display. It is a quiet, relentless commitment to live and lead with authenticity, even when no one is watching. Integrity demands that a man hold himself accountable to the highest standards, refusing to compromise his values for convenience, gain, or approval. Like the samurai bound by Bushido, the way of the warrior, leading with honor means embracing responsibility not only for oneself, but for those who follow, guiding with clarity, fairness, and respect. This path is often solitary and difficult, for it requires resisting the easy temptations of deceit and shortcuts in favor of the hard but righteous road. Leading with honor and integrity also means cultivating trust, both in oneself and from others. It is the foundation upon which lasting relationships, communities, and legacies are built. A man who leads this way inspires through example, showing that strength is not measured by dominance or fear, but by consistency, courage, and humility. This requires brutal self-honesty and the willingness to confront one's own flaws openly, using them as opportunities to grow rather than reasons to hide. The Japanese concept of Makoto, or sincerity, teaches that true leadership is born from a genuine heart and a clear conscience. When a leader embodies these virtues, he creates a space where others feel valued, heard, and empowered to rise alongside him. Honor and integrity are the lodestones that guide decisions, actions, and relationships, forging a path that transcends fleeting success and builds something enduring. The journey to lead with honor and integrity is not without sacrifice, for it often means standing alone against opposition, criticism, or temptation. Yet this is where true strength reveals itself, in the steadfast refusal to betray one's principles, regardless of cost. Such leadership commands respect that no authority can grant, and it leaves a mark on the world that time cannot erase. When a man commits to this brutal lesson, he not only transforms himself but elevates those around him, creating a ripple effect of trust, courage, and authenticity. To lead with honor and integrity is to embody the highest ideals of the warrior's path, a commitment to live with purpose and to guide others toward their own mastery. It is a lesson as ancient as the way of the samurai and as vital today as ever, a guiding light through the darkness of compromise and chaos. As we stand together at the crossroads of challenge and transformation, remember that the path of mastery is not paved with ease, but forged in the fires of relentless truth and unyielding discipline. The brutal lessons we have uncovered, embracing responsibility, mastering emotional resilience, cultivating relentless discipline, seeking truth while rejecting illusions, building unshakable confidence, accepting failure as growth, and leading with honor and integrity, are not mere ideas but sacred codes to live by. Like the samurai who wields his sword with purpose and spirit, you too must carry these lessons within, allowing them to shape your mind, heart, and action. This journey demands courage, sacrifice, and unwavering commitment, but it offers a life of meaning far beyond comfort or complacency. To those who have chosen to walk this warrior's path, know that you are not alone. You are part of a brotherhood, a community bound by steel will and shared purpose. Carry these truths forward, sharpen your spirit daily, and stand firm against the storms ahead. The road is long, the battle ongoing, but the warrior who endures becomes legend. Now rise with the strength of the ancients and step boldly into your destiny. Your journey has only just begun.